Welcome everyone again. Still letting a few people in, but we'll go ahead and get started. So again, to introduce ourselves, my name is Becky. I'm one of the trainers here at Your Realty Leverage. I've been here with the company for about a year and a half. I'm super excited to be working with you guys today and sharing some information about how to make your database work for you. So we're going to talk about a 36 touch program that gives you results. And then we also have Allison on the call. Allison is our other trainer with Your Realty Leverage and our operations manager. Allison,
yeah,
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I am Allison, a trainer and operations manager here at Your Realty Leverage. I've been here for almost a year, which is insane to think about. But I love everything systems and ops based. So I'm super excited to help you guys learn the how and why behind making your database work for you.
Let's get started with systems. So Allison's going to kick us off with this.
Yep. So my niche is systems. So we're going to do a real quick overview on systems and a little quick audit on systems. So what do systems do for us? Becky, I think you just have a couple so systems are going to bring out the best in you and your team members. Systems are going to reduce stress. They're going to allow you to stop micromanaging. They reduce turnover and burnout, and they're going to save you time and money. So we're going to switch into a systems-based thinking during this call. So what we're going to do is we're going to understand the process of how actions influence one another instead of thinking of everything as one individual action. We want to know how they interact with each other, which is huge when it comes to the 36 touch, right? We want to respond to problems as a part of an overall system rather than reacting to a specific issue. So when it comes to 36 touch, say, for example, your sister went out and bought a house with a realtor that wasn't you or wasn't your team, right? That sucks. That's a gut punch right there. But you have to think about though is when was the last time you told said person that you're a real estate agent and you're super excited to help them, right? It's a systems issue. We haven't been reaching out. Then we want to focus on cyclical and interdependent rather than linear cause and effect. So we want to look at how, sending monthly or biweekly emails is going to affect how often you call someone. Or if you call someone, okay, maybe they're going to start opening up our emails more often, right? So we want to look at more things as interdependent rather than a straight line of actions. And then we're going to do a really quick evaluate your system. So it is the beginning of the year, right? We're still in January. We're still in Q1. So you got to ask yourself, can the systems that your team has right now handle your 2023 goals? Yes, we're talking about their 36 touch today, but this is a overhead in general of your systems, right? Including the 36 touch, because the 36 touch is a system in your business, right? It is a process that you guys follow. So what system is your team currently using and is it scalable? So if you guys do not have a 36 touch created yet, obviously it's not scalable because you don't have one yet. So we're going to talk about how to make it scalable. Who's responsible for creating, maintaining, and using the system on your team? So when you create this 36 touch, who's responsible for all the different aspects of it? Is the agent responsible for making all quarterly calls and the admin's responsible for sending the emails? Is the agent responsible for recording a video for that email, right? Who's responsible for what? And they're going to rate your team's ability to perform the system on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 means you don't have a system and process in place. 5 means you have it, it's highly effective, scalable, and it is always growing. And as a review to you guys, we're going to get the recap, a copy of all these slides too. So the do's and don'ts of a system. So before we start talking about, the details of your 36 touch, we do want to keep it simple. We want to keep it going. You want to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve with my 36 touch, right? What is my goal? Then you want to ask yourself, what is the number one priority? And you do want to move from X to Y instead of, X to Z. You don't want to jump to the end goal. You want to know by step what you need to do. A few things we don't want to do. We don't want to set it and forget it. We don't want to take the time to create the system and not do the system, right? We don't want to overcomplicate it. The 36 touch can seem like such a large, overbearing, complicated system, but I promise you it's so much easier than we think. Don't overthink it, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. And don't use money or people first. Use your systems. If you guys have a CRM, there's your system. And we'll talk about that a little later as well.
Awesome. So just a quick, system audit, if you will, like Allison was talking about. We just wanted to kind of bring that into your mindset because like she mentioned also 36 Touch is a system, it's a process, right? So we just want to make sure that you're taking the opportunity to audit what you have in place or create something that's not in place already. So what is the 36 Touch? So a 36 Touch program is simply a system used to help reinforce the relationship between an agent and their database, right? So it's a way to stay in touch with them, treat them like they're valuable because they are, provide them with real estate resources and market insights, and then give them a great experience. So when it comes time for them to ask any questions about real estate, they can't think of anything or anybody else other than you because you've created a client for life with them. That's what a 36 touch program is all about, right? So I want to talk about at the beginning of this call, the value of a customer. So this chart that we have here, it's the value of a customer over 20 years. So a customer who has, or a client who has built a relationship with their agent, who has received a great client experience, becomes a client for life is what we call them. And in return provides repeat and referral business. So looking at this chart, and this is National Association of Realtors numbers here, but the average person moves on average every 10 years with an average home price of $462,400, right? So that's $13,000 in commission. On average, they buy about 3 to 5 houses. This chart is showing 3 purchases and 2 home sales. But over 20 years, the value of this customer, just this one customer, is $96,000 value of one customer. And building a 36 Touch and making sure that they're a client for life ensures that $96,000, almost $100,000, for just one client. So now that we know the value of a customer, what about the value of your database? Let's determine the value of all of the customers in your database. And again, using some of the NAR statistics for repeat and referrals for the typical real estate agent. So if you take the number in your database, for an example on this chart, it's 1,000, right? The average for repeat clients is 16%. So take that 1,000 and multiply it by 16%, gives you 160. Average for referrals is 20%. So that's 200. And if you add those together, the repeat and the referral business that is in your database is 360 clients, right? Multiplying it times the 96,000 that we just said was a repeat client for life database value of your client. That's almost $35 million sitting in your database. I don't know if anybody else's mind was blown when I actually worked through that chart, but that's crazy to know that, we have that much sitting in our database. We just have to create that system and that process, that 36 Touch, right? To make sure that we're communicating with them. So 4 things that go into making your database work for you. You have to build it, and typically in a CRM, right? You have to feed it. So we have to make sure that we're constantly putting leads into it, putting contacts into it. You have to communicate with it systematically, making sure that there's some automations there. 36 Touch is also a system, right? To be able to communicate with our leads and our contacts in our database. And we have to service them. So that quote at the bottom, being successful business people must consistently network to make contacts, generate business, and maintain relationships. And that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today too. So I want to also talk briefly before we dig really deep into the 36 Touch, the difference between METs and haven't METs. Is anybody familiar with those terms, the METs and haven't METs? Has everybody heard those for the most part? Yeah. Okay. So METs are going to be the contacts, your sphere of influence, your past clients, anybody that you've had a 2-way conversation with by phone or in person, but you have their contact information, you've collected all of their contact information, and you've put that into your database. Those are going to be your METs. Some other examples of METs could be, if we have any parents on the call, friends of or parents of some of your kids' friends. If you're at the baseball field and you meet people, Any contacts that you've generated doing real estate business through open houses, those are METs. Anybody that any other agents that you've talked to, those are MET contacts. People that you meet at the coffee shop, right? Obviously MET contacts. So unless a person is a complete stranger to you and they haven't classified as a haven't met, then they're a MET, right? Some haven't met examples, cold leads. So everybody in your farming database. So if you're farming a specific neighborhood and you don't know those people, those are haven't mets, right? And you would put them on a different type of a program. Your database of METs is going to grow over time as you meet potential home buyers and sellers, but it should grow through your intentional efforts, which is what we're going to talk about today, right? So the chart on the screen too is, it came from the MREA, page 188, if anybody wants to look at it again. And of course, you'll get a copy of all these slides, but it's just a flow chart of the MET contacts and where they should go. So we're going to be talking about this has a 33 touch, but we're going to talk about a 36 touch today. And the haven't METs would go on a different program called a 12 direct, but this is just kind of a flow chart of that lead generation model from MREA. Right. So we're going to look at an overview of the 36 touch plan, and then I'm going to hand it back off to Allison, and she's going to go into a little bit more detail about each one of these. Okay, so bear with me on the overview, and then we'll dig deeper. So a 36 touch plan overview, it would look like 12 newsletters, 4 events or giveaways, 4 mailings, 4 calls, and 12 market updates. Plain and simple, right? And I want to pause here for a second. How many of you actually have some of these already in place? Just individually. Do you already do newsletters, right? Do you already do market updates? And I'm sure you're already making quarterly calls, right? A lot of these things people already have in place. They just don't realize that they're truly a part of that 36 touch. And that's where we're going to kind of help you make sure that you have a clear blueprint of what that looks like. Okay. With newsletters, so 12 newsletters, you could do them, of course, monthly, but it could be an e-newsletter. It could be through your email. You could do a blog post. Some content information content could be community information or team information. You want to show your database that you're knowledgeable. And if you're not knowledgeable, then we need to fix that. But you also want to show your database that you're successful in real estate without telling them you're successful in real estate, right? Giving the kind of information that people would normally have to hunt for or pay for. It's our job to show them that we can interpret that information. You know, these are just some content ideas. Newsletters are also actually a really great way to start reaching out to your database and asking, you know, what are people have questions, you know, what are some of the questions that they have and how can we help answer those? And then reminding your clients and database that you have vendors, you know, maybe doing like a vendor of the month in your newsletter, you know, so that they can have some resources there. The objective of sending a newsletter to your database or your farm area is to stay in touch and provide value and engagement. So you'll want to make sure that the newsletters also do include your team branding and standards and, you know, your colors, logos, fonts, as well as eye-catching photography, and making sure that there's a lucrative layout, right? One of our YRL coaches taught a class recently, and one of her tips with newsletters was to work on it throughout the entire month. She had a layout of where, you know, as she would time block on her schedule or on her calendar to work on the newsletter, maybe 30, 45 minutes every week, and she would add a different piece every week. So at the end of the month, it wasn't her stressing out about what kind of contact. She actually already had the content laid out and she could just plug and play into the newsletter. So just a tip, maybe, you know, working on it throughout the entire month and just plugging it in at the end. 34 events and giveaways. So most teams conduct 2 to 4 events every year. And each event, you'll have at least 3 touches related to that. You'll have the invite, you'll have the event, and then you'll have the follow-up. Many agents host a spring one and a fall one. I mean, these events really don't have to cost a ton of money. In fact, you can really pair it with your service providers, with your vendors, right? or other agents and create bigger events and offset costs. So just a few examples of some events would be Valentine's Day. You've got summer parties, picnic in the park, pumpkin patch, photos with Santa, tailgate parties, back to school bashes, a lot of different types of events that you could do here. And again, we're going to dig deeper into events and planning these events. I'm just kind of giving you an overview of what this 36 touch in general will look like. And then you have 4 mailings, invitations to those events. It could be a mailing, birthday cards, holiday cards, annual market statistics, a CMA with property or equity increase noted. One that is really popular right now is sending out the ALTA statements. So everybody that closed on a property in 2022, sending them an ALTA statement at the beginning of the year, because they're going to need that for tax purposes. So there's a really easy email template or letter template that you could use to send out an ALTA at the beginning of every year to all your clients. That's a mailing, that's a touch, right? Spring maintenance tips, those can go out on postcards in the spring. There's all kinds of ways that you can send mailings out. Sports magnets, that's something that one of my previous teams did. We're big into hockey and football here in Tennessee. And so she would do Predators and Titans. And then you could do college football, with some schedules, and then attach your business card to them. So definitely some different ideas for some mailings there as well. And then 4 calls, call them 4 times a year. So this is non-negotiable. This should be something that everybody is doing. The DTD2 schedule, which is on your screen now, and we'll also attach a copy in the recap. But it breaks down the layout for you. It's set up there. You call the A&Ws, the B&Es, the D&Os, the H&Vs, and these should be all tagged in your database, and call them every quarter. Let them know what events you have. Maybe they're coming up on their closing anniversary. Maybe it's just a call to quickly check in and, say, hey, do you need anybody? Do you have any needs for vendors? But you should be calling them 4 times a year, physically calling them 4 times a year. In general, people don't really tend to pick up the phone as much as they used to. So we need to be different. We need to be that agent, right, who really reaches out and asks questions and offers help. Market updates. You can do an infographic, video, a market snapshot if your CRM does that. 2 of the graphics that I have on here, one of them is actually created by our local realtor association. And they actually put that together for us. And so that's something that, if that's a resource that you have in your area, it's not something that you have to create. It could just be something that what do we say, rip off and duplicate, right? Like, use the resources that you have available to you, but here's some market statistics for our entire county. And do video updates. Video market snapshots are really big right now. A lot of people are doing those. So do a quick video. You can brand it. You can use BombBomb. And I know that Allison will go into a little bit more of that later on. But market updates is a big one right now, especially in this ever shifting market that we're in. So that'll be a great touch to make. So we've gone through what that 36 touch looks like. We're going to touch really quick on planning and tracking the 36 touch, and then Allison's going to jump in and dig really deep into some of these pieces for us. Sorry. So planning and tracking the 36 touch. So tracking the 36 touch, of course, part of is the first thing to do is to plan it. To begin properly executing a 36 touch, you have to know where you want to house it, track it, and who you're going to send it to. So we want to plan ahead by determining how many calls, events, mailers, emails we're going to be aiming to send out each month and quarter. So this is going to be a part of like your business planning in October, November, December. Should be, hopefully that should be what you're working on in those timeframes, so that you can know when you're going to do those events, so that you can know when to send out those mailers, and et cetera. So ways to track it and plan the 36 touch. You can always add to your calendar. You could always use your Google Calendar to add when you're going to send out mailers or when you need to be sending out your newsletters. You can use a spreadsheet, which we have. We do have a spreadsheet that we're going to send you, and I'll go over that here in just a second. A Trello board is a way that you can help to plan. And then database tags, making sure that you have all the clients in the database that are going to be receiving a 36 touch, making sure that you have them all tagged. Here is one of, actually, I'm going to skip to this one. So now we want to make sure that we know which, sorry, my brain. Now that you know how often you want to aim to communicate with your database, you can determine how you want to communicate with them. So this is broken down into months. And again, we have, this other spreadsheet too. We've got all these spreadsheets that you can plug it in, but are we doing DTD2 calls this month? And are we doing any events? Which events are we going to do? This previous one kind of goes over like, okay, we know we're going to do a mailer in January. We know we're going to do an email blast in January. And you can continue to do that with February. February, we know that we need to make this many calls. We're going to have an event in February. We're not going to do a mailer, and we're going to do one email, so just kind of to help track the 36 touch with your numbers there. And then this is, will help you magnitude it, or make sure that you have all the details planned out for it. And then with that as well, you have to have a budget, right? Because, postcards, events, we want to make sure that we have all of the 36 touch pieces budgeted for as well. So this is just another spreadsheet that you can use to help budget that 36 touch. All right. Any questions or ahas so far?
What does your team do now that you maybe didn't realize constitutes as part of the 36 touch? But you're starting to realize now, like, okay, we do some of these things, we just aren't realizing that we do them, or we don't do them consistently enough.
I have started adding the market reports on Brivity. It's a slow start, but because there were some technical oohoos at the beginning, but I didn't realize that fell under a 36 touch. I just thought they'd really like to hear from us because, why wouldn't you? And so instead of being one of them hovering parents, I set it up to go for once a month instead of once every 2 weeks to see how it goes over.
We'll talk about that too in detail here in a second, but with market reports, I would split them so you almost get one newsletter a month and one market report a month, and have them stagger. That way they're not seeing a market report from you on Tuesday and a newsletter from you on Thursday. So maybe like the 1st of the month they get the market report, and the 15th of the month they get your monthly newsletter. That way you're staying in front of them without overbearing them, right? But make sure your newsletter then doesn't have the same content your market report has in it. Maybe it has like a market report, but something a little bit different in it. Like it's still an overhead market report, but a little bit different concept. Cool. Awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and get started then with building your 36 touch. I'm going to hope that I'm not losing my voice because I kind of feel like I am. So we're going to pray for the best here. Cool. So building our 36 touch. So first, I'm going to do a quick overview. We have 12 newsletters, 4 events or giveaways, 4 mailings, 4 calls, 12 market updates. So some important things to remember. It does not have to equal 36, right? It can be more. It can be less. If you are just now starting a 36 touch, I would not dive deep into 36, right? If you start sending your clients bi-weekly newsletters when you haven't sent them a newsletter in 6 months, you're going to have a lot of unsubscribes, right? Because all of a sudden you're not going to be in their inbox, and then now you're flooding their inbox every 2 weeks with content. So make it like steady and slow, right? Phone calls are a great one to start with. Market updates are a great one to start with. And then start trickling in your newsletters. Mailings, there's never too many, never such thing as too many news mailings. you guys know what I mean. There's never such thing as too many things, right? We all get bills in the mail. So it's really fun to see things in the mail that aren't bills, right? So this can be customized to best fit your team. If you guys do more than 4 giveaways, great. Do you guys do, 5 events a year, 6 events a year? Amazing. Do you do more than 4 mailings? Awesome. So there are no rules or limitations with the 36 Touch. It can be heavily customized to fit your team. All right, so now we're going to go into the first section, which is newsletters. So a few do's and don'ts when sending newsletters, and these specifically are digital, like email newsletters. So when sending newsletters to your clients, it's important to ensure the information you are sending is something that caters to them. So if you send them an email and you're like, oh my gosh, I've closed 400 homes. Thank you. They're going to be like, cool, click, right? Because it doesn't necessarily they might be your past client and that might kind of affect them, but it doesn't do anything for them, right? Like it doesn't give them warm fuzzies. It doesn't give them something to work on, something actionable. It's just kind of like, all right, nice, congratulations, delete, open, archive, whatever. So a few things you're going to want to ask yourself when you're sending newsletters. What is your goal? What are you trying to get out of it, right? 95% of the time, you just want to communicate with your clients. You want them to keep you top of mind. You want them to come back, send you referrals, use you again when they buy or sell a house. That is your goal. How are you going to send them? What system are you going to use? What are you going to send, right? We'll talk about the what here in a second. Who is responsible for sending them? So who on your team is going to be sending these newsletters? And then when are you going to send them? So come up with a time of month that you're going to send them and be consistent with it. So like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing the first of the month is a market report, okay, then do the 15th of the month as a newsletter. Well, also what happens at the 15th of a month is a Saturday? You do one of two things. You send it for Saturday or you send it on Friday, right? So it's always within a day or two of the 15th of the month if it falls on a weekend. So what makes a great newsletter? You want a compelling subject line. So it needs to be short enough to be read on mobile, which is about 7 to 10 words, depending on how long the words are. It needs to be personal. Avoid all caps and use time-sensitive language to create a sense of urgency. So, 10 things. So say, for example, you guys are expecting a big freeze next week and you're sending out your newsletter on Friday. Maybe it's 10 things you can do now to prevent your pipes from freezing. Right? Now creates that sense of urgency. And then I personally love using emojis because I think they're fun. So if you can drop an emoji in there somewhere that obviously fits your subject line, that might be a great one as well. Personalization, right? Info on local events is a big one. First look at homes in the area. So I wouldn't make the first look at the homes of the area like the first thing on your email, but personalizing it to your location in your area, especially if you're in a super niche market of a certain area, you have a neighborhood that you really focus on, personalize it. Do coupons, do things that are happening. Maybe it's like Small Business Saturday and you have a list of 10 small businesses that you want to support. And you're like, here's a $5 gift certificate to my favorite. Or if you work with them, be like, hey, can you do like 5% off for my clients? Something like that for a small business to get them more business, right? It works both ways. A clear call to action. So you need to make it clear and concise what your email is about. Like I mentioned, I forgot what my compelling subject line was. 10 things you can do now to prevent your pipes from freezing, right? That is a clear call to action. Put in engagement pieces. So if you're saying it on certain places, you can insert polls, you can do opinions or testimonials. You can do a button that takes you to your website or a blog post if you guys do blog posts, and then have a way for your reader to share the newsletter. So whether that be, obviously forwarding, but you could be like, click here to share this with a friend. And it can be a button that literally just sends a link. If you guys use MailChimp's super easy to do that with, like a share link. To share this with a friend and then share it on your Facebook too, right? Like let people know that you're sending out these newsletters to have people sign up for them. Make sure they are all browser friendly. How many of us use Google? Probably like a solid 90% of us here use Google. Let me tell you, Outlook and Microsoft's email system does not like a lot of email templates, right? They do not like MailChimp ones come through hit or miss sometimes. The formatting is off. They don't have the same fonts that Google has for fonts. So it might be worth it to log in on a Microsoft 365, Outlook, whatever you want to call it, email, to make sure that the email that you are testing looks okay on all different browsers and all different emails. And you want to make sure it can be open on a phone without distortion. Most systems that we use now to create email newsletters already have it pre-templated that it works well on a phone, but you want to make sure that it does. So like, I know MailChimp has an option to look at it from a phone before you send it, but I always open it up on my phone as well when I send a test email, just to make sure that nothing looks out of place. And on that, send yourself test emails, right? Make sure that you're using those test functions to make sure that everything looks proper, because it might look okay in the system, but maybe you missed an enter somewhere or a space somewhere. A few things to avoid: constantly being real estate based, right? We're in real estate. We know about it all the time. Our friends and family know we're in real estate. How often do they really care about what's going on in real estate if they're not buying and selling a house? Not a lot, right? If they're not actively in the process of buying and selling, the chances of them caring about what's going on in real estate is slim to none. But if you drop a little, like, here's a quick market report for your area in your newsletter, it might say, oh, housing prices are coming back up again. Maybe it's a good time for us to sell. Because the market's making a major shift. So you want to make it where whatever you share is good for buyers and sellers. You want to avoid politics, religion, or sensitive current events. I hate having to mention this, but it's unfortunately part of the realtor laws, like the NAR laws, is to stay out of most of these things. I know KW as a whole is a very religion-based company, but make sure you guys are staying within your NAR laws on these topics. Over sending newsletters and having no solid plan. So I would, if you don't have a plan of sending them and you're sending them every week or every other week, and they constantly change the day that they send, and they constantly change who they come from, what the topic is, what the formatting is, you're going to have a ton of unsubscribes. On that option, I want to hop back to What Makes a Great Newsletter. You should always have an unsubscribe option. We hate unsubscribe options because we hate seeing people unsubscribe, right? But if they don't want to see our content, they don't want to see our content. So we don't want to make them mad by not giving them the option to opt out if they don't want to see our content anymore. So you want to make sure that you're using a system that allows you to see those unsubscribe options and allows you to see who's unsubscribing. All right, so some content ideas. So when building out your newsletter, the first thing the consumer needs to see is something that they can directly relate to. So here, buying a home in a constantly changing market. Yeah, this fits. Personally, I probably wouldn't do that first. I would do something of like 10 ways to update, like 10, I think off the top of my head here, like 10 budget-friendly ways to update your home. So if they're thinking about selling, or they're thinking about doing the winter, like you're coming into spring and summer, and people are going to start doing updates around their house, right? Sun's starting to come up, starting to be warmer. What are some things that they can do to update their home that might not be super expensive? Like painting your house can be a huge value add, and it's also not that expensive to do. So things to include in your newsletter: current market stats, upcoming local activities, seasonal tips, home improvement ideas, and neighborhood information. Where to build them. So ways to send your newsletter, ways to build your newsletter. Canva is a great one. You can actually create a template in Canva and import them specifically into Command's newsletters using their like share HTML function. I will preface by saying it works like 4 out of 5 times. Sometimes it is funky and you have to sign out and sign back in and refresh. But you can create it in Canva and send it from Command. So your whole database is in Command if you guys are Keller Williams. And it's super easy to do. I believe it also works in emails and Brivity as well. I just haven't played with it as much inside of Brivity. Google Mail. If you guys have a Google Suite, so meaning you have like ours is at yrltalent.com, you actually have an option to send out using the multi-send function in layouts inside of Google. Meaning you can create a whole ad, a whole email newsletter from Google and send it out using the multi-send function. So meaning if you add 100 people to the to field in your email, it's going to send 100 separate emails to those people. And you can even like merge in their first names and stuff if you have them in your Google contacts. MailChimp is a really popular one, and so is Constant Contact, and then your CRM system. So Command has newsletters in there as well. You can actually use MailChimp templates. So you can create an email in MailChimp and send it out from Command if you guys are with Keller Williams and use Command, which is a great workaround if you don't want to use Command's templates for it. Things to consider, I just mentioned unsubscribing. You want to make sure you can see who unsubscribes. I also want to mention too, I had a conversation earlier with a trainee and it kind of made me think about this. She's like, we don't really want to use MailChimp anymore. We want to be able to use our CRM system. But if someone unsubscribes from your newsletter and your CRM system, they're also unsubscribing from every email that you send them in your CRM. So if you send them emails from Brivity, for example, and they unsubscribe from Brivity, they're not going to receive any other emails you ever send them from Brivity unless they opt in to resubscribe again. So keep that in mind when you are figuring out where you want to send those emails from. A third party like MailChimp or Constant Contact, for me, I think it's worth it because if they unsubscribe, they're only unsubscribing from that platform, not your CRM platform. And then tracking open rates. So that way you guys can see, okay, is what I'm sending actually coming through to people? Is my call to action in my subject line clear enough that makes people want to open my email? Can you add clickable links when sending them through Canva command? If you download it as a PDF, Shelby, I believe you can. I'm just not sure what that looks like when you upload it back into command, but I think you can highlight things still on the overall import because it imports it as text still inside of command. So you should be able to highlight things and hyperlink them. That might be something you play with. Last time I played with it, the whole thing in general wasn't working. But that was a couple months ago. So, but it was imported as text still. Cool. So an outline format of what your newsletter should look like. Like I said, you should have that call to action that is directly for the consumer. So not putting, I've closed 400 homes, putting 10 tips to prepare your home for spring. Market updates. Put it underneath that call to action item, right? Like have them open that email. Have it be a video from your team that has them click on it of like, hey, here's something I saw today that might be really helpful for you. After that, put market updates. So your January 2023 market report. Make sure you tell them what it means if they're looking into buying or selling, right? If you're looking into buying right now, interest rates are going down again. If you're looking into selling, home prices are staying a little bit more steady than they were 6 months ago. Team updates or team info. So meet our new team member. Keep in mind what this means for them. Do you have a new admin? This means leverage and it's someone to be a resource for them on the team. I think like a solid 70% of the people on this call are admin. Have you been introduced to your database yet? Your agent's database, right? If they worked with your agent the last time and they're like, their follow-up wasn't great. I didn't get to communicate with them a lot because they're really busy. They're one of the top producing agents in the team. They're a great team, but I just couldn't get in contact with them a lot. Cool. Now you can because you're their admin, right? So that means you are a second source of communication. You'll be their primary contact through transactions. So use yourself as leverage in those emails. So here's some monthly email ideas. Like I mentioned earlier, I always recommend doing a monthly email to start and pairing that with a monthly market report. Just make sure your market report and your monthly email ideas don't overlap each other. So January, top home trends for the new year. Super popular one. So you might want to, bring that down a little bit of like, best flooring options for 2023 or, they always release like the Sherwin-Williams colors of the year. So there's a good one too. February. So we haven't gone in detail of giveaways yet, but maybe February you're doing a Valentine's Day giveaway. That should be the top thing people see in your monthly email. March, 10 tips to prep your home for the spring. Or it could be like, 10 things to do to update your home in the spring or garden tips, right? April, April showers bring May flowers. Here are the most popular flowers for Indiana this year. And then you can put in there where to go, right? Where are some of your local florists? Where can they go outside of Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards? If you guys don't have Menards, I swear it is like the coolest place I've ever been in my whole life. Totally off track, but like my boyfriend and I spent like 3.5 hours in there a couple weeks ago, and I didn't want to leave. I'm from Indiana, so Indiana, the Indianapolis 500 is huge, and my team was based in Speedway, Indiana, which is a short 5-minute walk from the track. So May, we always did a event outside of the track in the parking lot to celebrate Carb Day. Carb Day was a big deal here in Indy. So on May, we always did You're Invited, Indianapolis 500. So we would do like a big client event in May based around the Indy 500. So if you guys are seeing a theme here, if you guys are doing client events, those should be the top topic of that monthly newsletter, right? You have a client event, you're inviting them. Now, keep in mind, you might not be inviting your whole database. So if you're only inviting part of your database, you might want to split it up and do like a half-seas. Like half your database gets your invite, half your database gets landscaping tips and tricks, right? July, happy 4th of July. Maybe you add in their local fireworks shows that people can go to. Keep in mind of when you're going to be sending these emails of what your topic's going to be. So if you're sending your emails on the 15th, sharing where to see local fireworks might be a little past due. So maybe you want to put that in June if you're saying on the 15th. August, if you're doing a back to school bash. So we always did picnics for our team. And my old agent was a chief firefighter. So we did back to school bashes, and we would bring the whole fire department in so kids could see all the fire trucks and the ladders and the ambulances and the whole 9 yards. September, Labor of Love, the best home updates for your money. October, prepping your home for the fall. November, we're thankful for you. Maybe you're doing a Thanksgiving dinner giveaway. Maybe you're doing pies. If you're doing anything along that sorts, this is the perfect time to do it. And December is your happy holidays, happy new year. We're thankful for you. Maybe New Year's Eve celebrations around your area, something that directly correlates to your database. Any questions on monthly email ideas? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, so events. Okay. Oh, I double clicked. I was like, I feel like I missed something here. Events and giveaways. Why we do them? Everything we do has to have a business intention, right? Yes, we want to treat our clients and VIP members, but we also want to have a culture of fun. So something our agents can look forward to after year. And we must always have a business intention with every penny that we spend. So client events have a twofer, right? I know Becky mentioned a little bit earlier about sponsorships for events. Sponsorships for events are a great way to meet with your lenders, your title companies, your attorney, whatever it might be that you're closely related with in your company. Partner with them and have them pay for, the event, or have them pay for the food of the event, and have them come to and invite some of their people. So maybe some of your past clients are also their past clients. So it works as a twofer. And have your clients invite someone they might know, or have them invite a friend. They don't have to be looking into buying or selling a house. They can just invite a friend, introduce yourself, get to know them, add them to your database. But why we do them is to build on relationships with our sphere of influence and our past clients. We want to build on relationships with vendors. We want to have a little bit of fun with our team and our clients, and we want to increase referral business. Like I mentioned, have them bring a friend, have them invite a friend. We want to talk about knowing your clients, right? We have all these ideas for client events, what we want to do, but are client events really targeting our database? So on average, what does your client base look like? If it is a young family, it might be a movie theater, right? If they have kids that are in like the, 7 to 10 range, a movie option might be a great idea. If you live in more of a like retirement community, or it's mostly just couples, a golf scramble might be a good idea. If you are, I am totally putting myself in this category, but like millennials who live in the city who have dogs. That is me. I am the definition of a millennial who got a dog when I was 20, and that dog is my child. So if someone did a Barks and Brews, I would be all over it. And Indy itself has a ton of dog-friendly restaurants, right? Run out the patio, invite your friends. You might have some families that bring their dogs as well, because 98% of the time, even if it's a brewery, if they serve food, kids are allowed before a certain time. Like usually it's like 9 p.m., 8 p.m. So you can invite the whole family and have them bring their dogs. And then family pictures are a super great one as well. If you have more of a family-based clientele, do like a picnic with family pictures and have them reserve a slot for taking pictures and then send them their pictures afterwards. Not many people actually get the chance to get dressed up and take pictures. So you might have a lot of people hop on this. Pictures with Santa is a big one as well. The Easter Bunny. I mean, maybe not a super normal one. The Easter Bunny kind of freaks me out if I'm being serious, but that might be a more normal one. But Santa is probably your best bet, if not a family picture. All right, so events. You have your client events, but do you know that other pieces of your 36 touch can be used to promote your client events? Right? So if you're looking at planning a client event, you're like, all right, well, I could include this in a newsletter. All right, there's one touch. I should probably call them. Okay, there's one touch. I should probably call them twice. Okay, there's two touches. Maybe I should text them too as a follow-up. Okay, there's a fourth. Maybe I want to send them a postcard. Okay, that's a fifth. All right, well, I also want to do a follow-up for those interested in selling a house. Maybe there's people that are in my database that are, maybe they haven't met. So maybe I'm trying to convert them and they're selling a house. That might be my biggest sale. Or maybe they're buyers that are interested in buying in like 9 months. I'm going to want to add them too. Then you want referrals, right? So you have so many different options here of incorporating different pieces of your 36 touch. So if you're overwhelmed, you're like, how am I going to call people this many times? Or how am I going to send this many pieces of mail? Why would I use text messages? Here are your reasons, right? You can literally lay out so many options and fill in some of those missing voids of your business with doing a client event. Giveaways. I personally love these. And let me tell you why. They don't cost you much money. You get to fill your database. And they don't cost you much money. And they don't take much time. But then I mentioned the money part. They're so cheap to do, right? So cheap. A client event might cost you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, if not more, depending on what you're doing. A giveaway might cost you $100, $200, $300. I've seen some teams get crazy enough to pair up with another team and give away a Peloton. I'm sorry, but that's cool. Like start of the year, you're going to win a Peloton. Okay, put me in. Where I use it, probably not, but at least I have it. Right? So many people are going to look at that and be like, it's the start of the year. I have health goals. I want that Peloton. Take my name, take my email, take my phone number. I don't care. Right? So the benefits of giveaway, you're going to engage with your database. They can be used for reviews and referrals. It encourages your database to follow you on social media and everywhere else. There's some giveaway ideas. We're coming up on Valentine's Day. Do dinner for 2 at a local restaurant. This does not always and only need to be targeted to your database. You can post this on your social media. You can post this on your Facebook. You can send it in your newsletter. If you guys use Brivity has, or I think actually it's not only Brivity, but there's a system called Quickly, KWKLY, I believe. And it is a 5-digit number that you text that you put like a word in the, I know you guys all seen them before, like text 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, options to this number, and it'll enter you for this giveaway or to send you a 15% off coupon for your favorite store. It's the same thing, right? Just like send your name and your email address to this number and it'll be entered into this giveaway. All those go in your database. And then all you need to do is put them on a nurture plan. If you guys are KW agents, I'm going to do a quick little lead thing in here. If you guys are KW agents or the KW team and you don't use Command, you can use the Smart Plan library still to build out those same plans in the CRM that you use. The Smart Plan library is a goldmine. There are thousands and thousands of lead follow-up plans in there. Use them. They're literally at your advantage. People put them in there for you to rip off and duplicate. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. So make sure you're looking at them and seeing if they really fit your team. Change the words in them, but goldmine. Giveaway ideas for gift cards. So maybe your goal for 2023 is to get a lot of referrals and a lot of reviews for all your clients. Do a gift card giveaway. Email all your past clients. If you guys have a past client Facebook page, great place to add that as well. email all your past clients and say, hey, we are so thankful for you for using us to, buy or sell your home. We are constantly trying to increase our presence online. And we know that, people are starting to go online to look at reviews as their first place to see if they want to work with us. I know I look at reviews all the time. And sometimes one bad review is enough for me to be like, no, I'm not going there. Right? If I look at hotels and I see one hotel has like bugs, I'm not going there. Right? I could see 1,000 good ones, but that one bad one's not, it's done for me. But you want to make sure that those people that you had a good experience with are leaving your reviews and referrals. So do a gift card giveaway. Do $50 to Amazon, right? You can send it to them in an email. You can do $50 to a local restaurant that you work with, or a local store. But send an email and say, hey, I'm so thankful to work with you this past year. If you don't mind leaving me a review on Google, Facebook, and Zillow, and then do your giveaway. Be like, each place you leave me a review is an entry into a $50 gift card. We're going to be giving away next Friday. They can copy and paste their review and leave it on all 3 different platforms, right? Some other giveaways, home maintenance, right? How many of us like cleaning the outside of our windows? Not me. I don't like it. Gutter cleaning, definitely don't like that one. A cleaner, right? Bring in cleaners. Like, here is a full home clean down to like scrubbing your baseboards and cleaning out your cabinets for a giveaway. All you have to do is have people, comment on a Facebook post or fill out a quick form or drop their name and number into a Facebook post. Just like Becky said, reverse bold. If you guys have not heard of reverse bold, it is so good. So literally you do some sort of giveaway and you say, hey, call us between the hours of X and Y with your name, number, and email address, and we pick a winner this day. So you have a certain time frame that they have to call. You gather their information and you do the giveaway. You could also do this with like a Google form or dropping their name on an email, on a Facebook post. It doesn't have to be a phone call if you don't have the manpower on your team to do a phone call, but reverse bold is a great way to build your database as well. And then gift baskets for local stores. I am a sucker for a good gift basket. If you are doing a giveaway for, Mother's Day, and you're like, here is a spa day on us for all of our moms. So like enter your mom in here for a giveaway. Tell us why she's a great mom. And we'll pick a winner on this day. A spa day could be, a $200 gift certificate to a local spa, but it might include a gift basket. You want it to look nice, right? So put it in a gift basket, put a, bottle of wine in there, put a robe in there, put slippers in there, put things that match the spa giveaway aspect of it. To give away with that gift card. So the basket itself might cost $50, $100, but the gift card is the main attraction to that giveaway. Cool. Any questions so far on newsletters or events or giveaways? Cool. All right, we'll go into mailings. So I know Becky mentioned some of these already. I will go into a little bit more detail specifically on mailings. But honestly, guys, mailings are super straightforward and super easy to do. So invitations to events, like we just talked about, sending them a postcard you created on Canva, postcard you created on Command, whatever your system is, Canva. Most of it is free, so you don't have to have a pro account to send things. But you can send things from Command directly, postcards from Command directly, so you don't have to worry about hand stamping them. Birthday cards, holiday cards, home anniversary cards, these all fall under the same boat. You can send them directly using a platform like Command. Annual market statistics. So Becky mentioned these earlier as like, this is a little bit kind of with the CMA, but not with the CMA. My favorite thing I ever got from my agent when I bought my house, every year at a home anniversary, she'd send me a card that was like, happy insert year home anniversary. Here's the annual market report for what your house is worth. Cool. So my house is worth like $80,000 more than what I bought it for. And then you're like, oh, should I sell my house? Right? That's what gets those wheels turning, to get people who have been in their house a little bit longer. Okay, maybe it's time to sell. Letter to the heart postcards. So these are good to send like around Thanksgiving. Like, thank you so much for trusting us with your business. We are so happy that you're a part of our sphere or part of our, if you guys have like a name for what your database or like your past clients are, put it in there. But they don't have to be overcomplicated, right? And you can use systems like Postable, Send Out Cards, Canva, Command sends out postcards, Brivity sends out postcards. Personally, I love Send Out Cards, and I will praise that to the moon. Yes, it costs money, but you're still mailing things, so everything to mail costs money. But you have so many options to choose from, and you can actually, I think it's under $50 to submit your own personal handwriting, and they make your handwriting a font. So your own handwriting is now a font to use on postcards that you're creating online and sending out, which is so neat, right? And I used to create some Canva like fronts for them, import them into Send Out Cards, and have Send Out Cards mail them. So it can still be tailored to your team. They're just sent out through an automated system. The picture here is one of my favorite things if you guys live in a sports town. These are like sports calendar magnet. So the top here you see attach your business card here. You put your business card at the top. These fit in a regular letter-sized piece of mail, and they do not weigh more than the normal postage amount calls for. So they're one stamp, you put your postcard on the top and you mail them out. I am near Cincinnati Bengals, right? That is our team, Cincinnati Bengals. Send out a Bengals schedule sometime before the season starts. That way they have it, they can put it on their fridge. So not only do they have your agents or your picture and your contact information at the top, but they also have the Bengals information at the bottom. And think, like, a call could always start from, hey, my water softener is leaking. Do you have anyone that you recommend? Yeah, let me look at my vendor list, right? That's how sometimes some of these calls and some of these leads begin, by sending these out and some of those conversations. So mailers, super simple. They don't have to be overly complicated. Just put a picture on there, put a happy birthday, happy anniversary, and a heartfelt letter on there. Oh, my favorite one, phone calls and texts. So I want to know first, you guys can drop in the chat while I'm talking about it. How many of you actually call your database? I want to know. I'm super curious because I know it is a very, very hard task to do. It is not always fun to do, and it is also time consuming to do, but I want to know who does it. So drop in the chat if you do it and if you do not do it. Cool. So who are we calling? Why are we calling them? And how are we going to call them? So who are we calling? Your Mets, right? So your sphere, your family, your friends, people you met at the grocery store who you had a conversation with, and they're like, yeah, I might buy a house one day. Cool. You're really nice. I want to be your friend, right? Because agents are high D's. 95% of the time, you guys talk to everyone, right? You're really good at that. Past clients, vendors, co-op agents, right? You should be calling them too. If you have a vendor that you work with all the time, you should call them and say, hey, Lisa, I haven't talked to you in a while. How are your kids? Right? If you know them personally, you kind of know what their life looks like. It doesn't have to be a complicated phone call, just check in. Current clients. And then your Mets, like I mentioned, your Mets. Why are you calling them? You're calling them so they keep you top of mind. It's small talk. It's check-in. See how they're doing. It's not like, hey, Becky, I have a house listed at 123 Main Street. Would you be interested in buying it? And Becky's going to be like, no, Allison, I just bought a house. You sold it to me 2 months ago. And be like, oh, well, I hope you're having a great day. No, have small talk. See how they're doing. Talk to them. See if they want to meet for coffee one day. If they just need to talk to someone, be that reason they talk to someone. And you'll be amazed what you find out. You could call a past client from 4 years ago and find out that past client 4 years ago has had 3 kids and they live in a 2-bedroom house. And you can be like, wow, what are your plans for expanding your house? Or they might be like, yeah, we really need to sell our house. We just haven't had the time to get it together. And you can be like, I would love to come over and talk with you and go through a listing appointment of, what your home's worth. Going through, what updates we should make in your house before you should list it so you get the best value for your home, right? Those conversations are easy to have because they're natural. You're not forcing them on someone. And then how to call them. There are a ton of dialer systems. A few here, Falcon 7 is one. You put a list in there and it just dials and dials and dials until someone picks up. Brivity is another one as well. If you guys use Brivity as a CRM system, you can highlight the people that you want to call. So if you're using your DTD2 tags, you can highlight by your DTD2 tags and just start calling. A system like SlideDial. Personally, for doing quarterly calls, I would not recommend SlideDial because SlideDial actually just sends voicemails to people. But if you are doing something like a client event and you just want to send a quick voicemail out to everyone, let them know you're doing a client event, you would not imagine how many people call back and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I missed your call. And you're like, oh, well, thanks. But it was actually a voicemail and I did it on purpose, but it's great. Like, you don't have to tell them that, right? They just call and they're like, I'm so sorry I missed your call. Like, how are you? Starts another conversation. Database tags. Make sure you have your database tag. Make sure you know who you're calling and why you're calling them. Then time block the time for it. If you do not have the time on your calendar to do it, appointments are going to be scheduled over it. Meetings are going to be scheduled over it. Everything's going to be scheduled there because you don't have it time blocked to spend the time to do it. And if either of you know Becky or myself, you know that we will tell you to the end of time to time block your calendar. That's how we are as people. And I guarantee about 6 or 7 of you on here are fully aware of that. All right, so we're going to talk about the standard call structure when you are making these phone calls. So if you're the one making them, if your agent's the one making them, you know, this is what the standard structure is going to look like. Your intro, you know, hi, Becky, that's an intro, right? Your purpose of a call. I'm just calling to check in and see how you're doing. Becky's like, you know, I'm doing okay. Our water heater went out and it flooded all over our basement. Oh no, how can I help? Like, do you have anyone to come in and fix it? Have you talked to your insurance agent yet? To have them come in and give you a quote for getting it fixed. That way your insurance can pay for it. That way it's not out of pocket. And they could be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was something I can claim on my homeowner's insurance. Like, yeah, absolutely. And you can do a quick search if you have their insurance agent in your system and be like, here's your insurance agent's contact information. Do you want me to reach out for you? Or how can I help? And then you can follow up and be like, you know, I'll send you a list of my preferred plumbers and contractors help replace your flooring for you. That way it's not out of pocket, or to get quotes for you. That way you can submit those quotes to your insurance agent to make sure you get the right amount of money to fix that problem. Then you can be like, do you have any other questions? Is there anywhere else I can help support you? And if they're like, no, it's okay, this probably won't be an appropriate time for a referral request, right? Because they're having kind of a tough day. Their water heater went out, it flooded all over their basement. Not the best day. What you could do is be like, you know what, Becky, I know you're having a rough day. Send her a text follow-up and be like, here's a $25 gift card to Chipotle, because you know Chipotle is our favorite restaurant. Go get lunch on me today and I'll follow up with you to see how things are going in a couple of days. That is the point of a quarterly call. Not only does it show that you care about your clients, and it might not even be your client, right? It might be someone that you tried to convert into a lead 4 years ago, but they bought with someone else. I guarantee you, if they sell their house, they're going to sell it with you after having a conversation like that. Of, you know, like, okay, like, who's your insurance agent? Okay, let's get them, like, let's look at the next step. Let's get in contact with them. Let's see how we can resolve this issue. I'm going to send you over some of my preferred vendors that I work directly with that'll take great care of you. And then you're like, you know what, here, what's your favorite restaurant? Where's your favorite place to go? Or you send them a $10 Starbucks gift card. And you're like, I know today's been rough. Get a Starbucks on me and I'll follow up with you in a couple of days, right? The call structures for your DTD2 calls, your quarterly calls, should be heartfelt. They should not feel cold. They should not feel like, you know, you're being forced to call these people and see how they're doing. You should actually care about your clients, because if you care about your clients, they're going to come back to you, right? But if you're calling and you're like, yeah, you know, and they're like, I was just talking to you about some of my friends. You're like, oh, are your friends interested in buying or selling a house? I'd love to help them. And they're like, yeah, actually, they just moved here from out of town. You know, I'll send you over their contact information. And then you send them a quick text next day, like, hey, Becky, I heard your friends like just came into town. If you don't mind sending me their information, I'd love to meet up with them. And as a reminder, I send people $50 Amazon gift cards for every referral they send. Right? Make it worth their time too for sending you people. Let them know, like, even at the end of the call, Hey, Becky, I love to hear that you're having a great day and things are going really well. I know I'm super excited to see the pictures of your house after you remodeled your basement. As a quick reminder, I send $50 gift cards for everyone that sends me a referral. If they close or not, you send me a referral. So maybe it's 25 if they close, 50, 25 if they don't close, 50 if they close. Figure out a system. Like, just a reminder, I send you a gift card for the people that you send me. That's going to get people to send you people, right? I would send people to my agent if they gave me a gift card if they closed, right? I mean, I'm going to send people to my agent anyway, but that's just because I'm in real estate and I know how that game works, but other people might not, right? Does anyone have any questions over the standard call structure?
Not a question necessarily, but I do think it's important to point out again that every phone call you make doesn't have to be an ask for business. It truly is about building relationships with your clients and making sure that they know you're there for them. So, and then sometimes it's even asking permission. Hey, I wanted to talk business with you for a second. Is that okay? Even sometimes that's okay as well. But I just think it's super important that, people sometimes get turned off by the fact that you've got to call people 4 times. You don't have to ask for business every single time. I mean, yes, that's great if you do, but you don't have to. It really is about building those relationships.
Yep. And 2, you guys can use, so say you're an agent making a phone call, like your agents make DTD2 phone calls, but you have an admin that monitors your Facebook or posts on your Facebook, or, sets up your calls. If I saw that one of our clients was, having a baby or they got engaged or it's, a 50th birthday, right? We would go out of our way to do something a little bit different for them. We would send them, so send out cards, for example, you can send gifts on send out cards. You can send brownies on send out cards. You can send flowers from send out cards. So I would send them a card and then I would send them like a little gift. So if we knew that one of our clients was having a baby, we would send them a congratulations card and then like a gift card to a store to get diapers or, cute clothes or whatever makes them happy to celebrate their new baby, right? Or vice versa, like a birthday, I would send them, here's your favorite treat, or here's brownies, or here's a little gift card to get yourself a birthday treat. Go out of your way to make things a little bit more special for, big major life events. Yeah, I've had a lot of coffee today. You guys know me. Sometimes I get like this. So welcome. Cool. All right. So now we're going to go into a little bit of referral scripts. They're passive and active. So I'll kind of talk about what that looks like. And then you guys are going to be getting a copy of our scripts book of fun, which brings in a little bit of, scripts for calling the database, scripts for calling active clients, sellers, buyers. It's like, I think like 70 pages long and it's all scripts. So the compliment, if it is a client, obviously you are so great to work with and we would love to work with more people like you. So if you know anyone looking to move in the near future, please call us, let us know who they are so we can give them the same great service. So if this is a past client that just closed and you're doing a quarterly call, great script. The peak moment, I'm so glad you're happy with our service. I'd really appreciate it if you'd pass my name along to anyone else you know who would, well, that's a spelling error, I'll edit that later, who could use the same assistance with any real estate needs. And in the casual mention, we would love the opportunity to serve your family, friends, and colleagues as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you hear of anyone who is looking for some real estate help. And I would love it if you'd pass my name along to anyone else you know who would, that's the same thing, could use the same assistance. Wow. I might have should have read these in more detail before I typed it in here. But if you guys are having conversations in those DTD2 calls and they're like, you guys are great to work with. We, always love hearing from you. This is a perfect time to drop in some of those referral scripts. Super sweet, super simple. And then the last one, before I let you go, I'm sure this crazy real estate market has come up with your friends and family in conversation as you've been working to get your home on the market. If we can be a resource to anyone you've been chatting with, we'd love to help. Does anyone come to mind as a great way to insert? Personally, for me, if you're making a DTD2 call, I would take out that does anyone come to mind and just put, if anyone comes to mind, feel free to shoot me a text. As a reminder, I send a $50 gift card for every referral you send me that closes, right? It's not forceful. It doesn't make them give you a name on the spot, but it reminds them like, hey, I'm going to send you something if you send me someone that closes, right? It's a twofer without being like super, super salesy, because real estate agents come off as super, super salesy 90% of the time. And it's like, if you guys are TikTok and you know, like the ick, like people are like the 5 like icks, it's an ick, right? That's very millennial of me to say, but I'm saying that. So phone calls, some important words if you are making phone calls. And if your agents are making phone calls, make sure you share this with them. The most important words in customer service. What else can I do for you? Be prepared to go the extra mile. There's less competition there, right? If you go out of your way to say, what else can I do for you? So go back to our example of Becky's house, her basement flooding, right? You've already went through the response of, okay, have you talked to your insurance agent? You know, I'm gonna send you some of my most recommended, like my preferred vendors, but what else can I do for you to help you in this process? Right? Just go in the extra mile. Next one is, how else can I help your day? So if you're like, you know, it's been a rough week, but I'm doing okay, you know, whatever. Like, you know what, how else can I help you today? Is there anything I can do to just put a smile on your face? They'll be surprised when you ask additional ways to help them. How often, even our friends, how often when you're talking to your friend on the phone, like they're just listening to you, like, oh man, I'm so sorry that's happening. How often do they say, how can I help? Or what can I do to make your day better? Right? I will shout out Becky, or Becky is fantastic at this whole thing in general. Like, how can I help? What can I do for you? Becky is great at that. So be like Becky and use that in your day-to-day base. Become a yes person. Don't ever say no, right? Be like, if someone says, you know, do you do this? Like, you know, maybe I can't do it, but I'm going to say, you know, yeah, I have a person who can help you with that. Right? Yeah, I have leverage that can help you with that. Don't be like, no, I don't do this. But I know someone that does. You could be like, yeah, I have a team that can help you. Right? Become a yes person. Say thank you. Oh my gosh, basic manners. How often do you get thanked when you're the customer? Right? If they answer your phone call and you're having a little 5-minute chat with them, end it with, you know what? Thank you, Becky, for answering my call today. It really made my day to talk to you, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Right? Thank them for answering your call, right? It's a minimal thing, but I promise you it's going to make them feel better. It's going to give them the little warm and fuzzies of being thanked. Then say, glad you're here. Customers feel welcome to spend more time, more money, and more likely to return. So if they're a past client, be like, you know what? I am so glad you're part of my past client database. I am so happy to hear that you're doing well, and I can't wait to talk to you again in the future. Let them know you're thankful for them, having them as a client, having them in your database. Give them the warm and fuzzies, right? So some important tips. Always be clear and concise. Use the person's name. Listen more than you talk, and mirror the other person. If they talk slower, you talk slower. If they're talking fast, you can tell they're in a rush. All right, it's probably time to get to the point and hang up the phone, right? Mimic how they're acting. Always use, it's my pleasure, right? Mimic the Chick-fil-A motto. It's my pleasure. I love to hear my pleasure from Chick-fil-A. It just makes me happy. Use it. Be empathetic. Understand their problems, even if you know they're not necessarily your problems, right? They might just need someone to talk to today. It might just be a really rough day for them. Listen to them. Even if it means you're on a 15-minute phone call and they're venting about their mother-in-law who came over and said that they hate their cabinets, right? Just listen, be empathetic, understand, be there for them. That takes us to let's call our vet, right? Watch your tone and never say no. Have an empathetic mindset. Listen to them. This is your database. When you are talking to them, yes, you should be empathetic. They should be your friend, but they're also possible future income, right? So for you, these conversations and how they're going might mean more money for you in the long run. That does not take away the personal touch of it, but you should still make sure that you're being there as a friend if they need it. So some voicemail strategies. 90% of the time when you do your DTD2 calls, they're not going to answer, right? Most of the time they don't answer. Most of the time they're working, or, you know, they're busy, or they're in a meeting. So here are some voicemail strategies. The more concise, the better. Hey, Becky, it's, Allison from your Realty Leverage. I was just calling to check in on how you're doing today and how things are going in your new house. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to give me a call back, or if texting is easier, feel free to shoot me a text. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye. Right? Use variety in your name placement. Don't just say like, hey, Becky, Allison from your Realty Leverage. Feel free to give me a call back. Leave a phone number and a deadline. I hope to hear from you by the end of the week. If not, I'm going to shoot you a follow-up text, see how you're doing. I don't know the tricks for the first voicemail, so I probably shouldn't have put that in here.
Sometimes with the first voicemail, it's really not being really specific on what your need is, so that they do call you back.
Yeah, what Becky said. If you guys are not or do not know Becky and I, when we have training calls, it is always a really great time. But make sure you include that call to action, right? I've mentioned it multiple times, especially with newsletters. Include your call to action. Why are you calling them, right? I bet I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Or if you're following up on that call of, her basement flooding. Hey, Becky, did you hear from your insurance agent? I hope everything's going okay. I hope to hear from you soon. I hope to hear from you by the end of the day, or whatever that might look like. So this is also, I'm going to wrap into, make sure you or your agents are making notes in your CRM system of what your conversations entail. That way, your next quarter, when you call them and you talk to them, you know what you talked about. So you can check back in on things like, hey, I heard you were replacing your cabinets. How is that going? I would love to see pictures, right? All right, so text messages, when to use them. This is not a formal part of the 36 touch, but it is a great opportunity to add to the 36 touch, because all it is an additional way to communicate with people. And honestly, texting is a lot easier to get through to people and get a response than pretty much any other communication method. So when to use it? If you're building out a birthday, home anniversary, or a frequent touch base follow-up plan with your database, text messages are an easy and automated way to stay in touch with your database. So here are a few ways to use them. Happy birthday texts. Hey, Becky, happy birthday. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I can't wait to hear about it. Can't wait. Here's a $5 gift card for a Starbucks on me today. Motivational Monday, a random Monday text that says something like, I'm thinking of like a good motivational quote, but nothing's coming. I guess I'm not very motivational today. But like a motivational Monday text that sends out to them every quarter. This can be in addition, or it maybe rotates like an opposite month. Maybe you call I think it's A&W your first week, but maybe you send a motivational Monday the, 8th week, right? That way they're getting 2 touches from you a month in terms of phone calls and text messages. Then a random coffee on me, right? Hey, Becky, I hope you're having a great day. I thought about you today. Here's a $5 gift card from me. Hope you enjoy. Right? It's small, it's short, it's sweet, it's fun. Or if you guys are doing, like, I don't know, a lot of companies or a lot of teams do like, hey, we loaded a Starbucks gift card, like Starbucks on us today. Great text way to send out. Great way to text that out. If you guys use Command, I know for a fact Command has this. I know Brivity doesn't, but I'm not sure about other CRM systems if they use it as well. But if you use Command, you have the option for static and dynamic texts. So the difference here is static is this text will only go out one time as written in the box during the smart plan. So it is, if you have a quarterly call plan and that quarterly call plan includes a phone call and then 4 weeks later, a text that says, hey, Becky, just thought about you today. I hope you're doing well. That text is going to send out, the same text is going to send out every single quarter. But if you have a dynamic text, these are groups of text that will be cycled through in order as the SMS step is repeated in a smart plan. So it appears it's a new message every time. So maybe you have 4 different texts that are dynamic texts in your smart plan. The first one is, hey, Becky, I hope you're having a great day. I thought about you today. Can't wait to hear from you. The second one might be like, a motivational quote that I mentioned earlier. The third one might be like, hey, here's a $5 coffee on, like, here's a $5 gift card on me. I hope this makes your Monday better. And the fourth one might be like thankful for you checking in, hope you're doing well. And those are going to rotate. So they're not going to be the same text that sends every quarter. That is the difference between a static versus a dynamic text. And those are great to use inside of Smart Plans. BT does. Some text example scripts. Happy birthday would be, hey, Becky, I hope you have a great birthday. Wishing you a year full of happiness and blessings. And then make sure you're always putting your agent's name or your team name at the bottom. That way they know who it's coming from. Oh, here's my Motivational Monday quote. I knew I put it somewhere. So Motivational Monday. Okay, it's Monday, but who said Mondays have to suck? Be a rebel and have a great day anyway. Have a great Monday, friend. And then, Allison, your realty leverage. Right? Make it funny. If I got this text on a Monday, I would probably smile. Right? Because it's like straightforward, it's funny. Just make sure these messages that you're sending obviously fit your team and your team's culture well. But for me, this one is like one of my faves that I found. All right, building 36 touch. Oh gosh, hold on. My Google Voice is ringing. I don't know how to turn it off. Okay. All right, so building the 36 touch, we're going to talk about Popeyes. Who knows what a Popeye is? Popeye. Cool, well, I'm going to tell you. So Popeyes, what are Popeyes? Popeyes are a way of stopping by Sphere and past clients to drop off something small that shows you're thinking about them. I absolutely love these because they're so easy to do and they are cheap to do. So some examples, you can be like popcorn. So we had a local popcorn place in Indy called Just Pop In, and we went there and we bulk ordered 100 bags of popcorn that were like, we did like a bunch of different flavors, and then we would put a little tag on there and say just pop it in to see, like, to say hi. And then I would make a list of addresses for my agents, and they would actually hand deliver those little bags of popcorn, or they'd put them on their front door. And what we would do is we would send them a text to be like, hey, we're gonna be popping by today to give you a little treat. We can't wait to see you. And it'd be like, if you're not gonna be home today, we're put it on your porch and we can't wait to talk to you later. Oh, Melinda, that's awesome. I love that. That was a great idea. Coffee is a good one too. So this is kind of a quick example that I found on the internet of enjoy a coffee or tea on me. Happy Valentine's Day. And it includes your business card and a Starbucks gift card. If you guys have I can't say it enough, use your local businesses. We had a local coffee shop that had just opened up in Avon, Indiana. And we were really close to Avon, Indiana. So what we did is we pulled all of our Avon addresses. We're like, okay, we have 57 clients that live in Avon. We called that local coffee shop and said, hey, we want to send out, 60 gift cards to local clients. What is there a discount for bulk ordering, right? It doesn't hurt to ask. They give us a 15% discount when we ordered 60 gift cards from them. They were only $10 gift cards, but it saved us money because we bulk ordered 60 of them. And every single one of them got used because we called and we said, hey, how many of our people have come in recently? They're like, oh yeah, all of them have been used. Real estate is my jam. You could put like a little thing of jam on here. Once again, use your local businesses. You'd be surprised how many places have local jam or local honey places local to you. If I can say local one more time in that sentence. That's a lot of locals. You add sparkle to my business. So the 4th of July, attach them to sparklers. Thanks for helping us wrap up. Oh, I totally covered fabulous year. And do wrapping paper, right? So wrapping paper goes on like serious sale on Black Friday. So grab a ton of wrapping paper and use that to send to your clients, right? I am always loving new wrapping paper. I use it so much. I use a different one for every person. So for me, I love new ones, right? Little things like that can touch your database and they don't have to be expensive. You can do, 15 a month. You can focus on a certain area a month. This is definitely one thing that you're going to want to budget out of how much money you want to spend on these. But this is another way to, communicate with your clients, touch your database, right?
With
All right.
Popeyes too, really quick, with Popeyes too, there are actually companies out there that will, like, if you want to do 15 a month or 30 a month, they'll mail you kits where you can actually, you give them a budget and how many people, and they'll mail you kits of things to put together in a Popeye, and then you can just deliver them. So if you're not like a super creative thinker, when it comes to some of these things, there's companies out there where you can order the Pop by kits as well.
Love that. I didn't even know that. We always handed ours. It was always a labor of love, but it was so worth it. There's also this goes for pretty much everything that we've talked about today. If you guys are not marketing gurus, you guys do not, it is not your niche. It is not what you love to do. I promise you, there is something on Etsy for you to look at. Etsy, Pinterest, all of our Facebook groups, get ideas what other people are using. It'll spark in your head to be like, oh, that's a great idea. Ask in some of these Facebook groups, like, what are your favorite events that your team does? Why are they your favorite? What is your outcome of it? Or what is your favorite, 36 touch piece to do, right? All right. Use your CRMs for automations. Yeah. So Becky said, rip off and duplicate. That is our favorite thing to tell people. Do not recreate the wheel if you do not have to recreate the wheel. All right. So using your systems, I guarantee every single one of us on this call has a CRM that we use. If I had to bet, the two major ones are Brivity and Command. Maybe some others in here, but I know for a fact 7 of you on here use Brivity or Command. So I'm going to talk about what a built-out 36 touch looks like specifically in Command. These can be mimicked in any other system. They are not just Command, but I'm only going to use Command because it's the most universal one that I feel like a lot of people would connect with. So the ones that are bolded here are actually ones that are already built out in Command for you. Your birthday smart plan, your home anniversary smart plan, your monthly market report. I know Brivity for a fact has the market report built out too. A quarterly call plan already built out for you, resets every, 90 days. Event invitation smart plan. So if you know that you're doing an event, make a smart plan for it. That way you can auto send out emails, you can auto send out texts. You can create a plan for monthly newsletters. This one is a little bit more difficult to do, but it could just be a reminder for you as well. Like, hey, you need to create this month's newsletter, or you can put it in your calendar to remind you as well. One thing I want to touch on specifically to Command for birthday and home anniversary smart plans, use the smart plan that KWRI has created for you. Why, Allison? Why would I use the one that KWRI creates for you? Because they are the only 2 smart plans in all of the Command world that has tasks that are based off of a date. Meaning your birthday is on, February 1st, and it's going to have a task for 7 days before to send them a card. Everything else in smart plans is done after a task, like when the smart plan starts. Where Command, those 2 smart plans are the only ones right now that have that functionality to work before a specific date. So it'll tell you 7 days before a birthday, send a card. Then on their birthday, give them a call, send them a text, whatever. Home anniversary is the same way. So make sure you're using those automations to make your life easier. And honestly, every single thing we talked about today can be made a plan of some sort. Quarterly calls, easy, right? You can rotate who you put on what. You can stagger how many people you add, so it can stagger how many people you call a day. There's a lot of functionality you can do with these plans that makes your life 10 times easier. Any questions specifically on systems or CRMs or automation? Cool. All right, so we're going to talk about building your 36 touch and customizing it to your team. Just a quick overview. When you are going to build your 36 touch, you're going to know what your team does now to communicate with the database. Maybe your agents are really good at calling the database the first quarter, and then afterwards it drops down. Okay, so what are you going to do next quarter to really make sure that those quarterly calls happen and stay on topic? What can your team do to increase communication? So where you guys may be lacking. If I had to bet, email newsletters are a big one. They are easy to send out. They're easy to template. And there's got to be consistent with them, right? The biggest one that I cannot stress enough is knowing your team's primary audience. What do your database need to know? What do they care to know? Where are you located? What is the clientele in your area? Becky is in a huge military town. I use Becky as an example because I live in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, so we don't really have a clientele outside of farmers. And Cincinnati Bengals fans, that's pretty much all we got. But, and I'm not kidding, everyone here is a Bengals fan right now because playoffs are Sunday and it's sports, you know. But for Becky, it might be a lot of military based content. It might be a lot of rental content. It might be a lot of content for investors, right? Which I would separate into a separate 36 touch specifically for investors. Do they respond to texts? If there are a lot of millennials, if there are a lot of Gen Z, they're going to respond to text more than they're going to respond to anything else. Millennials are very bad at answering the phone. So a text might reach them better than a phone call would. So for me, I love talking on the phone. I think that's such a missed opportunity, but that's just me. Are they opening up your emails? When you're sending emails, look at your click-through rates. Look at your response rates. Look at how many people are opening them. If they're not opening them, okay, maybe it's time to sit back and be like, is my email subject making sense? If you use a system like MailChimp, it'll tell you how many of your emails go to spam as well too. And start small and build. You can build this overnight, but sometimes it's really hard to implement overnight, right? So maybe Q1, your team's really going to focus on making sure you're doing those quarterly calls. And then you're going to start doing like one mailing. Or maybe you really focus on quarterly calls and you put your whole database on a market report. And then Q2, you're going to start with bi-weekly newsletters. That gives you time to build out your newsletters for your team. You're not like rushing to do it, rushing to figure out who you're sending it to, rushing to tag your whole database, whatever it looks like. Maybe you guys aren't doing any events right now. So maybe Q1, you focus small and do a giveaway, right? It's cheaper, it's easier, whatnot. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Okay, Becky.
No, I was just going to say that one of the biggest things about any system really is the consistency of the system. You have to be able to give it time to work, right? You can't expect after you send 3 newsletters for, you to get an immediate return. You have to be able to be consistent in order to get that return on investment. So once you do have the system built out, stick with it, right? Mm-hmm. Stick with it for a while, because people will start looking for those things. And, you want to continue to stay top of mind. So be consistent in planning it and setting it up and sending it out.
Yep. You may be sending someone newsletters and they might, remember like, oh yeah, I have a question for a real estate agent. My friend asked if I know a real estate agent, and they might go to their email and just search real estate. And if you pop up, they're sending your friend their information, right? So just like Becky said, you probably aren't going to see an ROI on this for at least a year, but you might be surprised. But it's also a great way to track what you're sending and make sure you're asking people how they heard about you. Make sure you're asking like, hey, it's great to hear from you. May I ask what made you call me today? Right? Like, or where did you hear about us? If they're not in your database already, ask them. Because if they were a Sphere referral, you're going to want to make sure you notify and acknowledge that Sphere referral. Awesome. So we flew through this, which Becky and I are really good at doing that. So what are some ahas, super exciting things that you're excited about? What are you going to take away from this call and implement with your team? Or what questions do you have as well? If any.
We love answering questions. So if you have questions, please unmute and ask.
And if you don't have questions, that's fine too. You can drop them in the chat as well. I love reading the chat. And if you guys don't know, Zoom updated. So now you can actually like react to people's comments and like change your font and stuff, little things.
So we'll be getting the entire slideshow and all the recording, and because while I'm watching this, I have so many amazing ideas and I'm so gung-ho. And then when Allison's not explaining it to me anymore and making it sound so simple and so easy, it gets very, very difficult.
Absolutely. Yes. You'll receive the recap, the recording, all of the slides. Becky and I are throwing in a lot of resources for you guys as well. So that everything that you saw a screenshot of on here, pretty much like the
tracking spreadsheet and the scripts and all that stuff.
Yeah. So like the screenshots you guys saw here. If you get motion sickness, I'm really sorry because I'm really flying through this.
Only making me a little car sick, but we're okay.
This spreadsheet you guys will receive as well.
Awesome.
Any questions?
I have a question about smart plans. I want to set one up for home anniversaries, but when I tried to do it, what I want is an automatic email to go out through command. But it looked like it was going to send like everybody who had a home anniversary in March, that it was going to send it on March 1st. Is that the one that you're talking about that was set up from KWRI? Can I like make that so that it sends automatic emails 7 days prior, like by the date versus just one lump sum?
Yep, the home anniversary smart plan will send on their home anniversary. With these specifically, I would make sure, like with those smart plans, to best understand them, the best way to use them is to set yourself up as a test. Put your home anniversary 8 days away or something like that in your contact card in command. Set yourself up on that auto plan so you see exactly what it looks like when it goes out. That's how I always messed with it and played with it for both birthdays and home anniversaries.
And Shelby, feel free to add myself or Allison to either one of those two to give some additional test subjects.
I see it on Shelby's face. She's totally going to do that.
Yeah. Nadine in the chat said, how can you quantify and measure the results driven by the newsletter?
Yep. So that is where having a system like MailChimp or a different outside system that you use for newsletters are really important, because you can actually track your open rates, you can track your unsubscribes, and then you can track your clicks as well. So how many people actually click in the email, and you can tell which ones are super, what's what I'm looking for?
Engaging.
Yes, and which ones aren't. You can also, if depending on what CRM you have, I know Brivity and Command both have landing pages. You guys can create landing pages that say like, if you're interested in asking, are you interested in learning more about real estate? Or if you guys are hiring someone, or if you're interested in learning more about the market, reach out to us here and it opens up, or like respond to this email, right? There's multiple different ways that you can do engagement. But tracking those numbers is really easy in systems like MailChimp.
That's pretty awesome. So as far as, and I'm Rob, by the way, I've been listening in the background. It's been a great session. Thank you so much. So as far as all of the touches that we do with clients, for some of the teams that are doing the newsletter on a regular basis, is that one of the top sources or one of the things that drives the most referrals and repeat business to the database? Or are there other touches that also kind of compete pretty equally with the newsletter? Where would you say that lines up in the different touches?
I would say newsletters paired with calls are going to be your two biggest ones.
Okay, cool.
So calls are massive, because how often do you receive phone calls from people like that actually genuinely want to know how you're doing?
Never.
Right? So if your preferred vendor gave you a call today and was like, hey Rob, how's your day going today? You're like, well, I didn't expect to hear from you. My day's going great. And he's like, you know what? I thought about you today. And I just want to say that I hope you're doing well. I'm watching your business from the sidelines. You're doing a great job. If there's anything that I can do, like, I would love to sit down with lunch with you and, talk about how we can help each other in the future. If you don't have like a preferred lender, for example,
yeah.
I would say emails paired with phone calls are like the recipe for success. And phone calls are probably the hardest ones to do.
Yeah.
And I like, Allison, how you said paired it together, because really you can, on those phone calls, hey, I did want to make sure that you're getting our email that we send out every month, right? So that's another touch point for you to make sure that you have all the correct information and that they are receiving it.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, everything we send to them does facilitate an opportunity to call and text and whatever else we do. So thank you again. Appreciate that.
No worries.
Thanks.
You can also set up if you guys are sending, like I mentioned, adding a like quarterly text in your database, you can also make that text that reflects your newsletter. So like, here are the most popular, like here are the 2023 Sherwin-Williams colors of the year. Are you going to be using one of these this year? Like make it a call to action to get them to respond to you, right? Just make sure you're aware if you use a CRM system, make sure you know what that receiving end of a text looks like. And when they respond, make sure you know where it goes and how to respond to it, right? So Brivity, for example, if you send a text out and they respond to Brivity, the text will come to your phone. You can't see my phone. The text will come to your phone, but you can only respond to the text in the Brivity Go app or through the Brivity.com CRM site. So keep that in mind of how to respond if they respond to a text. Make sure you're getting those notifications.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was also a really great question. Anyone else? And feel free, when we send you this recap, we'll send it probably tomorrow. So you'll get the news, you'll get the slides, all the resources, everything. If you guys do not receive it, please let us know. Sometimes our emails go to spam. So if you don't see it, check your spam. But if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Becky and I are always here to support you guys in every possible way. If you're a client or not a client. But I do want to talk about a little bit about who we are and what we are, if you guys aren't aware of Your Realty Leverage and kind of what Becky and I do in our day-to-day life. So we hire and train everything from real estate admin to DOO to team leaders. The whole 9 yards. We have new self-paced trainings. So self-paced EA trainings, transaction trainings for attorney and title states. We also have a new sales mastery training. So if you have an ISA coming on board, or you have an ISA that really could just amplify their business, we have a new sales mastery training that is in person and self-paced. We have coaching and consulting. So if you do not have a coach, I cannot emphasize enough how great having a coach is for your business. Admin, we
And
also, go ahead, Becky.
Coaching for admins and for agents,
Mhm.
keeping that in mind.
Yep. We have admin services, we have listing management and contract to close, and we have fractional admin services as well. So database management, email and calendar management, tracking and reporting, kind of getting your system set up and running. We also have Sammy on this call, who is in charge of fractional admin services, just dropping her in here. So there's Sammy. And then some webinar specials as well. So you guys get 10% off if you are signed up for recruiting training or your first month of coaching in the next 15 days, which is February 10th. So there is a QR code here for you guys to scan that'll take you to like a contact form to let us know what you're interested in, or you can just schedule a consult with me at yrl.info/Allison. We'll talk about what your business needs, what you're looking for, and get you that 10% discount as well. All right, guys, any other questions? All right, well, thank you for joining us today. It was so great to have you, and feel free. Our emails are here on the screen. My email is actually wrong. I typed that myself.
Good job.
Yes,
It is wrong.
are for me. It is actually Allison S@yrltalent.com. So we'll just pull that back up. That's really big. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Becky, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.